All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Hajime no Ippo, Season 3, Episode 9. Volg's back!
Volg!
He's back!
Volg!
And he's going to America.
Goodest boys out there. Yeah.
Absolute goodest boy.
He is still with Ippo, though, right now, even though he is not willing to be Ippo's sparring partner, because, as he says, he is a fangless wolf.
Yep.
And that is kind of a cool way of showing the difference between what it looks like to have fangs with Sawamura Ryuhei and how he uses those fangs versus someone that doesn't have fangs and questioning whether or not he should even be trying to be used in such a way at all.
Yeah. We also got that whole, speaking of fangs, that conversation between Ryuhei and the teacher.
Yeah,
that he sought out.
Which is really like layered potentially.
Yeah, and we talked about that a whole lot in the last episode. But now we're moving on to this next stage, and Ryuhei has been practicing specifically to get used to countering punches that are coming from his blind spots.
Yeah, because that's where the Dempsey rule's like crazy strength could lie. Is that if you have a punch coming from that angle, even if you don't have even if you do have the ability to block it or defend against it in some way, it triggers so much of your fight or flight instinct because
can your nerves handle it?
Can your nerves actually handle it and then also defend / counter against it? So that means that Ippo, this guy is coming to destroy the Dempsey roll, not just to snuff it out.
Right, kind of muscle like past it.
Kind of like the other guy did, the one that brought him from the deep. I forgot his name, but yes. Shimabukuro, I believe
that was his name.
Yes. And that dynamic, he's going to, Shimabukuro, he's going to completely stop it dead in its tracks and
obliterate
put the punishment in your face.
He's going to treat you like you're a steak, and he is going to tear you up, chew you up, spit you back out, and then probably other things too.
Continue eating.
Yeah.
For the fun of it.
Yep. Enjoy the taste of the blood and the meat between his teeth. So, you best bring beyond your A game, buddy. How you're going to get to that, I don't know.
Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Volg!
That was a wonderful episode. Volg! I love you. Volg! You're amazing. You're wonderful. And this is why when Volg was introduced, I was like, I love this character. Because the wholesomeness is just too damn high.
Too damn high! Say it again!
Like that bit where he asks Ippo, because okay. I don't know what it is, but in a show like Ippo that has so many macho type characters, we have Takamura, for instance, who is about as dude bro as it gets.
Date.
Yeah, Date. That sexy hunk of man, right? But it's very easy for it to go too hard into the be strong, we are badass, all of that stuff, nothing else matters, right?
Yeah. Even Aoki's kind of like faux masculinity,
Right. So having a character like Volg that is a total mama's boy, and we totally understand why, and his mom's dead, but then he spends time with Ippo, and, of course, Ippo's mom is wonderful, so she's like a mom to him, and then when he goes, he's like, hey, can you say these Russian words for me? Just, And she's like, oh, sure. Yeah.
I think all men remember that moment where they had to basically leave their family, and grow up and basically, be a man, and you gotta
kill the boy that the man may live.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this special connection that you have with each individual parent, and the connection between a mother and son is rather unique in that they can sometimes be the one that is, a little bit too doting, a little bit too, unwilling to let you go and stuff like that. But the fact that his mother, who he just loved so dearly, would say to him when he left, good luck, my son. Basically, the idea that I am not saying goodbye. I am wishing you well in what you do and where you go.
Yep.
So that fortune and all that may follow you, and it will bring you back to me. Right. Even if it didn't, though, it was the fact that she was wishing him good luck. And during the time that he was gone, he had to worry about things like, will she be okay? And then she passes away. At the very least, he was able to, be with her. Hopefully. During that time. I believe he was. Yeah, because he had already retired at that time. Yeah. Or temporarily retired. But now he's back. And he gave Ippo a parting gift.
He gave Ippo a pounding.
Pounding gift.
And I love that it
took him 2 pounds.
That Kamigawa mentioned, hey, Volg actually went easy on you there. You know how he knocked you out senseless and you it's not like he knocked you out temporarily and then you recovered quickly. No. Ippo was still unconscious when Volg left. It's like, oh, well, he's not going to be waking up soon. I got to leave. See ya. Right?
Damn.
That was him going easy.
Yeah.
Ryohei is not going to go easy.
In fact, your only luck, really, in this Ippo is that there is a non-zero chance that he does take it easy on the first one to basically say that he's going to play with his food.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's a big maybe.
Right.
But other than that, Ippo, you basically have to go full on into, I will not even touch the Dempsey roll until I've got the handle on how he moves, set him up to do some damage to where he's then reeling, then weave into it.
Maybe even with your rhythm adjusting and stuff.
Yeah, maybe you catch him off balance with your rhythm adjustment, which apparently Kamigawa gave us some hard empirical exposition on how dangerous it is as a boxer in the long-term area of his career.
Which makes a lot of sense because, okay, very different set of circumstances. But the Gangnam Style guy, right? He does the dance and he does it so much that eventually, and he might not have been in the same kind of shape as Ippo, but still he does it so much to the point where he can't do the dance anymore, right? Yeah. Because even if it doesn't seem like it would be causing any kind of crazy strain on the body, you do it enough and it adds up, right? Yep. In Ippo's case, where he's putting immense amounts of strain on the body, right? He's specifically going into environments where he's pushing his body right to its limits, as close to the breaking point as he can.
Yep.
Doing something like this on the regular, because Sawamura is not an exception. He is exceptional, but if Ippo does this once, that means he's going to have to keep doing this because people will keep using, and then it's just going to be the game of who can out-juke each other with the Dempsey roll, right?
Well, no one else is going to be able to use the Dempsey roll.
Right. So it's the can they properly read into his movements and his rhythm and everything and out-juke his juke that he tries to put on them, right?
Right, yeah, and someone who has nerves of steel might be able to do it, or a psychopath like Ryuhei, so he doesn't, have any fear regarding it at all. He's more just excited about the idea of tasting Ippo's blood. Freaking vampire. But Ippo, this is something where you have to think about things in the long term, in some ways, Volg being a recent addition to the current story makes sense in this way. Ippo, this is a retirement potential boxing match, meaning that if you don't do this right, it's not about whether or not your record will be tarnished. You might no longer be able to box after this.
Yeah, because because the Dempsey roll is what's letting Ippo compete at this crazy high level. He is still, an amazing boxer, and he would still be able to compete at high levels without it.
Yeah. If we were to look at his S-tier qualifications, it's basically about 3 things that are in his S-tier capacity. It's his actual overall power, his actual, I would say
stamina,
tenacity, which is really high. But then in terms of the only other thing, it's that he has this move that when put into a precise combination of events and sequences can absolutely obliterate anyone. Right. And that was what the Dempsey roll was in real life history as well.
Yep.
But everything else, Ippo, you're just kind of above average in those areas.
Yeah, like people could beat you on those if that was the playing field they were going up against for you. So the idea that also, even though Volg definitely worked very hard to get back into shape and everything, he was retired until just a week ago.
Yeah, he did this in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. And he was going easy.
And he was going easy, which means that what they've done here properly in Battle Shonen terms is they've properly set the power scaling for where Sawamura is compared to Ippo
it is
when
stacked
they enter the rings. So when we see Sawamura and Ippo fight, we know how scary every punch, every sequence is.
And it's important that they do that because it could be very easy to just slip back into the thing of but he's only ranked 3rd or whatever, so or he can't be that big of a challenge.
Or Ippo's the main character and he's, beat everyone except Date and well, Ricardo doesn't count because that was a sparring against a god,
Right.
But in terms of this, Ippo's gonna be fine, right? He's gonna be fine. It's like, no, it doesn't matter whether or not he wins here. It's about, will you survive, Ippo?
Yep, and I
what kind of damage are you gonna take?
Right, and the fact that Kamigawa brought up the idea of no, there is a possibility that you never wake up, right? Now, we know, spoilers, that Ippo as a manga is 1,200 chapters long or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
so,
Ippo's not dying.
He's not dying here.
But he could be out of commission for 6 months after this fight. We don't know.
Right.
That's kind of the brilliance of the story, is that the scale of it is one where Ippo's career is probably going to go on for another 5 years or 10 years or who knows. But just because it goes on that long doesn't mean he's the one boxing the whole time.
Right.
It could be that we focus a little bit on Miyata. We focus a little bit on Takamura. There are other characters
Volg,
that can bring the heat in this story. We saw Aoki take the stage and absolutely slay while being on the stage. So, Ippo, you have to be serious, very serious coming into this.
Because we've gotten things where the risk is really high, like with Miyata, for instance, where he puts everything into his crazy counter, his jolt counter, I believe is what it was called. And the idea that this is what ended my dad's career, right? I better get this right, otherwise I'm done. But even though we know that Ippo's not going to die, the fact that those words can even be mentioned is sobering, because Ippo is a powerhouse. He is a very strong boy. His legs, he's been training to be very strong, right? He's going up against someone that is also very strong, and he is not going to be holding back. Now, as much as Ippo can train his body, and I'm sure his bone structure and everything has gotten a lot sturdier and stuff over the years just because it has to, it will not be keeping up with his muscles, right? So if you take these two powerful forces and you put them up against each other, the consequences get worse, right? So, and
to bring things into the physics side of things, I have very, very little technical knowledge in this arena. I know Jacob has a bit in the lifting side of things.
Yes.
In where certain elements of safety come into play.
Yeah.
For me, though, it's primarily in the angle of how to best manage your knees and ankles when you do lateral movements with regards to running. And one of the main things with that is getting a proper dig. Basically, when you end up running in that nature, you need to make sure that you're digging into the ground and you kind of chop it rather quickly in order to be able to avoid those twist movements or lateral movements that put basically the wrong kind of strain on your knees and ankles. But because he's twisting, and not only is he twisting, he's going to basically launch into a feint of sorts where it looks like he's going to punch, and he basically stops, and then he goes back into a new bit of momentum there. If he makes it convincing, the only thing he's really going to do is basically what I was predicting earlier with actually the actual stopping of it. Because what I thought he was going to do was basically just keep spinning and just be like, when are you going to do it? You're going to eventually get scared and just punch early. It's the idea of like a rhythm game where you're basically waiting to press the button.
But, and then you spaz out or something?
You spaz out and you accidentally click it. It's like when I was playing Hades and fishing was a thing, and I was oh no, I want to get the really nice fish, so I have to spam it even at the instant I would do it too early. That's what I thought he was going to do here, but he's adding the extra element of I will stop in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Which is
I
love that they showed like the almost Attack on Titan, Midoriya kind of all for one.
How
one
all the
all
muscles and bones and everything are
and the sound
because
that was so cool.
In the OP in that segment where it shows Ippo digging into the ground with his foot and all the muscles winding up and everything. That is visually my favorite single sequence in the OP. It's so good, right? Like I want to comment on it every time I see it, even though I've done that multiple times already. But I heard someone basically say at one point that the reason that you need to make sure that your stance is good is so that you're basically punching them with the earth. Right?
Yes.
Because then it's you're taking everything and there is no give, there's no whatever, right? You are rock solid, you're an extension of the planet at that point, and the planet is punching them, right?
Yeah.
And that when that happens, it hurts a lot, right? You know, that it does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Ippo is basically wanting to say, not only do I want to punch them with the planet, but I also want to be like, hold up, planet, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, now go. But what?
Yeah. I also want to correct myself a little bit here. Apparently, there's going to be very little to no notable strain on his ankles. It's actually more going to be on his hips than his ankles. But the knees are the one that
and I can totally see it being a lot on the knees.
Right. I think the reason why the ankles are going to be no problem is because ultimately it's still kind of
the ankles aren't changing. I
was meaning that there's not as much of a step, really, as much here.
Right, yeah.
Meaning that when he steps, his body doesn't go basically laterally as much.
There would be
once
strain
he's planted, then it moves laterally.
Right, there would be strain that would be passed through the ankles, but ideally it would just be passed through. It wouldn't really have to do anything in the ankles because they're already doing what they would normally do. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But
yeah, the knees alone. This is an area where Ippo. He's saying this could take years off of your career. I just want to say that Date is considered like an ancient one, and he's a decade older than you, or less even.
Right.
Or he was a decade older.
Yeah.
No, he is, but like...
He was 29 when he faced Ricardo.
Yeah, back then.
Right.
You know, so... I just got to say, years off of your career means like, you know, that's 20% of your career.
Right, that's a big percentage.
Gone.
Yeah.
Be careful here. And while I think that he might be able to get a juke on Sawamura, the problem is that if he does it and he doesn't capitalize on it, we could end up in a situation where Sawamura's like, oh, that was close. Like, I liked that. Now I'm getting fired up.
Yeah, you're fighting back.
You want to mentally game with me? All right, kid, let's go.
Right. And I'm a wild animal. You think you can psych me out?
Yeah, my instincts are off the chain. Like you have no idea what I can do.
I smell blood, and if anything, it means that it'll be a lot more fun to eat you because we all appreciate what we have to work hard to get.
It's like, I need to knead the texture into you. I need to soften you up.
I need to tear at you a little bit. I can't just go for the throat immediately.
Right. The idea that if Ippo gets this off, is Sawamura the kind of boxer where if he goes in for the counter and yet like Ippo doesn't deliver a killing punch, he knocks him down. Like let's assume like the best case scenario where it doesn't end the fight. He catches Sawamura like really off guard with it, and he delivers like a bone crunching punch.
Yeah,
and his like teeth fall out, like he's bleeding from his mouth, and he's on the ground like twitching. And then at like count 7, he like stumbles up and gets up at like count 8 or something.
Right.
I think that might be basically then the thing of where he's like, okay, now I have to just count on that damage being enough, and then either avoid the Dempsey roll. Or is Sawamura going to be just kind of so good at just general counters to where he's like, no. All that other stuff, that's weak.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to punch me hard again.
Yeah, Now, hopefully, if he lands that first punch because of the juke, then he can just keep the chain of the Dempsey roll going, right? You know, using that as the establishment, and then go back into the regular rhythm.
Keep him up.
Yeah,
so that
keep
he's
him
like,
up. So that,
no, you're not going down.
Hold on, no, I need to finish this with this one bit. You know, I'm gonna sendo you. You know, and
I would love that.
I would absolutely love that.
A 2-round win. Like,
I mean,
can I just go out on a limb and make a dumb prediction here? I want a 2-round win.
I would love that too.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
But I want a first round where Ippo basically just doesn't use the Dempsey roll. And he just pisses him off a little bit. And then Ippo starts to take a little bit of damage and then puts that extra ferocity in that he usually misses in the first round sometimes. Or he sometimes misses in the first round. Then the second round, he just goes all in and basically jukes him out. Does the biggest, just most brutal setup, and then just it's over and just walks out. That I don't think that will happen. Though.
I don't think that'll happen. But Ippo, so okay, 2 things. One negative for Ippo, 1 positive.
Okay.
Also, with the whole thing with Volg, that was after 3 rounds of Ippo beating on him. Volg did that when he was already in the middle of a Dempsey roll, and Volg was just blocking the hits from it. But he was still taking the impacts, and he was able to do that. And
he was blocking.
Well, yes, he was.
He had his guard up the whole time.
He was blocking, but still, it wasn't something where Ippo wasn't able to start connecting. Like, they weren't truly connecting, but so that's still something that would make it a bit harder. And Volg's weakness was always his endurance, and he was able to do that after taking quite a few nasty hits all up till then.
That's a good point.
So Sawamura, that's going to be even worse.
Right, he could do it in the middle of a Dempsey roll that's connecting.
Potentially. Like, I don't know. But so then on top of that, not on top of that, as a reverse thing, Ippo does have an advantage here. Sawamura is confident. Because Sawamura, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, because he's so hungry and thirsty, and he can taste the meat almost in his mouth, right? He isn't necessarily doing his full due diligence. He is practicing for how to deal with the blind spot and everything, and that's fantastic. But ideally, since no plan survives contact with the enemy,
right?
You also look at what you're doing. You basically say, okay, Ippo would be able to figure out how the Dempsey roll would get defeated. So what would I come up with if I was Ippo and I needed to actually make it so the Dempsey roll could still be used? And then I plan against that. Now, that's going into some, like, several plies ahead of thinking about things, but that way, if Ippo surprises him, he's not fully surprised.
Yeah. Okay, so then here's what I would suggest then. He just steps really hard into Ippo and smothers him.
Ooh.
Because the other way is he steps back to give him the field of vision,
Right, but that gives Ippo time to do the juke. So if he can tell that the juke's coming, and then he, like...
Right, but instead of, like, going back, he then sees the juke and he lunges forward.
Right.
And then even if Ippo basically starts to deliver the punch going in there, the counter can be something where he's basically going through Ippo.
Right, and it might not be as strong of a counter as if Ippo was in full motion to hit him, but it would still be something where he's interrupting it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the other thing that the juke needs to be done properly with the timing is that he needs to be fully going in for the counter once the juke happens so that it just misses.
Right.
So Ippo needs to be basically like...
Yeah, he can't mess this up.
Don't blink. Like, literally, if you blink, it could be over.
Right.
And while this is anime, so we get to see everything slowed down to that level, one of the things that the show has done multiple times is have the characters on the sidelines tell the audience he can't stop his momentum. This is one of the things that anime sometimes cheats around a little bit.
Sure.
The idea of them seeing someone making this motion, and then they slow time down to like microseconds or
and then they move quickly while time is slowed down in order to adjust things. Basically.
Yeah. Or basically show them reversing their momentum in the middle of time being slowed down in that way, while their momentum is going another way. But in this bit with Volg here, they had basically a thing of, no, Ippo can't reverse his momentum. So when the fight actually happens, Ippo, you need to be very good at measuring when Sawamura gets into that point where he can't adjust his momentum.
Right, because you cannot mistime this juke. You need to get him on the first first one, ideally, just take him out completely, which probably won't work.
Yep.
And definitely don't telegraph that you're going to be doing this juke. So
it's all going to come down to those few decimals of a second.
Yep.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, all the info for that's in the description. Tons of cool stuff there.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.